It's a great meeting of the minds. Simple as that. Two popular, amazing returning guests with something to say, great vibes, and bring a great energy. Most importantly, bring the noise. So with that, welcome back, Will Hessert. Welcome back, Brendan St.Brown. Let's have a productive conversation. How are we doing, my friends?
Awesome.
What's up, guys? What's up?
That was a much better.
Nothing but. So yeah, as this show keeps growing and putting two huge members of this brand together on it, just simply wanted to just just check in with how things are going in this world, get some advice, and just bounce off each other as we always do in this great podcast. So talk to me, Will. How are you doing to start it off?
I mean, I'm freaking exhausted, but I guess I'm good. Yeah, just working super hard. But I'm confident that at some point it's all gonna be worth it. So yeah, just plugging along, man. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm great. Just having fun with this show, looking for my next opportunity, and we're just living it life and having a great time. Brendan, how are you doing?
What's up, Breezy? I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. Will, thanks for coming on and talking with us.
All right. So I have a great show planned for us with loaded questions, deep questions, and good vibes. So why don't we just start off the bat with a big loaded question? Because you guys know what's going on. You're aware of this world. I consider you guys woke people. So with everything going on in this world, and especially this country, I'm going to just start out with a loaded question. What is wrong with America right now as a whole? Feel free to, Bridget, I see you have some emotion when I said that question. Talk to me, Bridget. We'll start with you. What do you think is wrong with America as a whole as of this April 2021?
You can take so many ways to answer that question, but the first thing that popped into my mind is too many people are waiting to be rescued from someone else. Too many people are looking for salvation in politicians. Politicians care about themselves. They care about themselves. They care about they care about themselves. Then they care about their money. Then they care about their family. You're fourth on the list at best. But yeah, I think at the sum is too many people are looking for other people to save them. But once you realize that the only one that can help you is you, everything will start to fall into place.
All right. What are your initial thoughts, Will, when that question is brought up? I saw you were also bringing some emotion. Nice, great hand gestures. So you may agree with Brendan. What did you have to say as a whole with what's wrong with America?
It's that the government won't help me. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, my initial feeling is that relative to most places ever in the history of ever, and even relative to most places today, we're still pretty good. And every major media outlet makes an insane amount of money pointing out insanity. The other issue is that DC doesn't give a crap, as Brendan was saying. So when you have the belief that someone in Washington is going to help you, and then they regularly fail, the world seems insane. But if you just understand that most people in Washington don't give a crap about you, then it all makes sense. And then you figure out, oh, like if I need to change my life, if I want to fix my family, I want to fix my community, it's safe to assume that it's up to you and that you're alone in that battle. And some people would call that depressing, but it's better to work with a truth that isn't happy than a lie that's comforting, because that lie won't actually change your reality.
Yeah, I think that is very big facts in here. And, also as we do this three-person podcast, feel free to chime in whenever. And just wanted to add that message as well. But having what you said and what Brendan said is relying on the people and obviously our politicians are important. We vote for them. They're supposed to represent us. But we have seen obviously, no matter if it's this country, no matter if it's this time or some point in the past, we've seen politicians take things in their own hands, and they're just doing their job while also, doing their job for themselves. So with that, and why do you say with that and putting our trust in there, why do you say we are so reliant on the politicians? Why do you think there's a portion of this society here in America where we really do give everything in our lives to politics, whether it's fighting them through social media, whether you're part of weird cults like QAnon, whether you're just so heavily focused that you think everything is based on politics, ride or dies. Why do you think has led us to this point in 2021 to make us feel this way, and that is literally life or death to the politician?
I read somewhere that in a post-God society, you make people on Earth God, because there's something in human nature that just looks for some greater being. And in the absence of God, people put that on the government, and the government loves that. And like with the only way I can understand like radical wokeism or like the radical Trumpism, if you look at it from the standpoint that those are religions, they seem to make a lot more sense. They have their own terminology, they have their own rituals, and none of which make any sense. So it's very comparable to religion on both sides. And similar to most religions, if you introduce some kind of scientific evidence or anything, you're branded a heretic, and then people get really mad at you and then say really mean things to you on the internet. So that's the only way I've understood it.
What do you have to chime in with that, Brendan?
That's a good point there. I'm gonna call it kind of like a religious complex. All of us, every human wants to look to a higher power, a higher being, whether that's a leader or some sort of entity being, whatever. And yeah, we want to submit to them. Everyone wants to do that. So that there is that going on. Also, I had a different thought. It's almost kind of like we're tied into a system, almost like a trap that we need them. We're dependent, right? So first, a lot of businesses were shut down during COVID. And then so a lot of people had no income. And now stimulus rolls out, unemployment rolls out. So it's like first we have no jobs, we lose our jobs, and now we are dependent for this source of income to, feed our families, turn the lights on, have a roof over our head.
And they also sucked at giving you that money.
Right.
Like, here's $1,200. Okay. Here's like $600. Okay. Now here's $1,400. Now fuck off. It's like, wait, what? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, it's only like 2 months rent for people alone.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a baby, so I got slightly more, but I can it's a net negative on the income there.
Yeah, and I think when we talk about politicians and being aware, one of the easiest criticisms is coming at politicians is that they don't understand where we come from. Like there definitely are rags to riches stories of politicians, but once you're put in that elitist society, you lose the sense of what's going on. It's like when a comedian can't be funny if he's not amongst the public. How can he create material unless you're doing creating material on an elitist society for an elitist audience? Why do you think those lines are so blurred for these politicians? Why do they give up everything and give up their morals to keep their job unless they know something that we don't know,
There's definitely something behind the scenes. I mean, like my instinct of Barack Obama is that he's a good guy. So, and if you hear my daughter in the background, please ignore that.
Oh, no worries.
But that Barack Obama is a good human being. And if you look at him, his whole thing was, hey, I'm going to go after the banks. I'm going to shut down Guantanamo Bay. I'm going to do all these things. And I genuinely believe that he wanted to do those things, but he never did any of them. Like not a single one, and got paid $400,000 for a single speech after he was president, paid by all these banks for speaking fees, and now owns like a 40-acre estate on Martha's Vineyard. So they threaten you, and then they give you all this money to shut up. And like, he's a dad, like he has kids to worry about. So he's just trying to do the best he can. I'm going to pass this healthcare reform. I'm going to get the Iran deal going. I'm going to do the things that I think are good within the confines that the system allows. I don't know who runs that system. I don't think they go around calling themselves the Illuminati or whatever, but there are obviously other forces that confine them, that us peasants are not allowed in those meetings. So one of my big goals in life is to at least get invited to the meeting. I can at least know, like, okay, cool, like this is it. Like, all right, now you can assassinate me. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to know. Now I'm gonna kill myself like Epstein. But yeah.
You feel similarly with that, Brendan? Or differentiate?
What was the question again?
Like, but how do you also feel about the influence, behind the scenes? Obviously, many politicians promise us things, then they get to the other side, and there's other diplomats and other heads that are preventing them to create these programs, put these laws into order, and just, do something completely different.
Listen, right now, do the research yourself. This is just a book right here, but you need to do the research yourself. You need to look at both sources. So right now, you need to be a student of history more than ever, because those who fail to remember their history are forced to repeat it. Now I'm just going to go off some famous quotes by presidents, right? Lincoln said, not Lincoln, but JFK, right, said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Reagan said, trust but verify. Eisenhower is one of my favorite presidents. This man saved the world. He was the general of the Allied forces. And one of his most famous quotes is, in his farewell address, we need to be aware of the military industrial complex. We need to be aware of the military industrial complex. Now, his successor, JFK, was assassinated, right? Some people say it was the mob. Now, when I started to put the pieces together, Eisenhower warned us. Now, if you guys, I don't know if you're familiar with, I want to say it's called the Bay of Pigs, or the Bay of Pigs might have been something else.
Bay of Pigs invasion.
Yep.
Right. So anyone who's listening, basically, the government wanted to go to war with Cuba. So what they're going to do was they're going to stage an attack on American soil. They're going to shoot down some American planes. I think maybe stage an attack on Miami. They're going to blame it on Cuba so we can get the declaration of war to go to war with Cuba, because this was during the missile crisis and all that stuff.
And we wanted to go to war with Cuba because
one, they were allies with Russia, and this was during the Cold War. And also there's a lot of money, war hawks, right? A lot of these war hawks, they profit off of war. Boeing, Lockheed, I think, is another name of a big military contractor. But
Operation Northwoods is what
Northwoods at Northwoods. Yeah, Northwoods. Gulf of Tonkin. No, that's another one. But
that's when they actually faked and then actually went to war in Vietnam.
The Vietnam, yes. So basically it went, all these like military and government officials passed this, right? It went through so many clearances and they all gave the okay to stage this military attack. It gets on JFK's desk and he's like, are you guys crazy? He says no. And if you look at a lot of stuff, like, if we want to call it the Illuminati, the deep state, or a lot of people, like JFK had a lot of enemies inside government because he didn't comply with what they wanted to do. Boom, he gets assassinated, right, by Lee Harvey Oswald, right? Like 5 minutes later, Lee Harvey Oswald gets shot and gets killed, like
on his way to getting questioned by the Dallas
on his
police.
way to getting questioned. So basically, if we're talking about if there's a deep state, if there's something behind the scenes, Eisenhower warned us, and then his successor gets assassinated for not complying with these stuff. And by the way, what we brought up is all like fact. It's all declassified 50 years later.
Yeah, like you can read about this in the Library of Congress. It's not like some crazy conspiracy. Like
Yeah,
this is
it's fact.
like
Yeah,
so
no
people
crazy
piss me
YouTuber.
off because they're like, oh, like blah blah blah. Like, are they turning the frogs gay with Alex Jones? Like, no, that's not the same thing. And the like most conspiracy theories are wrong, but the ones that are right are so right that they scare the crap out of you, like MK Ultra and
Mm-hmm.
experimenting on American citizens by
With LSD.
injecting them with psychedelics so that they can become clairvoyants and figure out where the Soviets keep their nukes. The CIA has been caught dozens of times selling drugs in the United States. I mean, one of
Push
my
that
favorite
crack
memes I
epidemic.
saw was like, "Hey, don't be mean to me. My dad worked for the CIA, and if you don't get nice, he'll get your entire neighborhood addicted to crack." It's like, bro, like these are not good people. The King family sued the United States government for killing Martin Luther King Jr. in a
Yeah,
civil court, and they won.
I didn't know that actually. Shit.
Yeah,
And
it was in the 90s in like some Atlanta court. So just when anyone ever is like, well, the FBI said this and the CIA said that. And it's just like, why would you like, and the New York Times said this. Why is that evidence? Like, people who repeatedly lie to you is your source? What the hell's wrong with you?
and they keep coming back to him, and it's amazing how far, even with the politics, despite that, and having so many clear evidence of people do wrongdoing, and we have people still fall into that rabbit hole. I mean, Brendan, I know one of your facts that really struck my. Can you talk about Richard Nixon's part in ending the Vietnam War when he decided to?
All right,
Shown in
so
Also shown in the Ken Burns Vietnam documentary for anyone who hasn't seen it.
all right, so I don't know where this video is going, but whoever watches it, now history repeats itself. So there was a lot of similarities between 1968, 1969, and 2020. Now, this is once again all declassified evidence. This is all fact.
Yeah, and this particular
19
fact was in the Ken Burns Vietnam War documentary on PBS.
So in the ninth, for people who aren't familiar, 1965 to
73.
1971, 72, 73, we're in the Vietnam War. Now, LBJ wanted to end the war, but Nixon was running for office. He was running to be president, and he said, "We need to throw a monkey wrench." That was the quote. And he basically was putting off peace negotiations with the North Vietnam, because he wanted to end the war in his presidency. He becomes president, they end the war. Now, and like, I don't even want to say, but basically, so Biden came into office in November of 2020. A few days later, the vaccine came out. So I'm all I'm gonna say right there.
Well, when it comes to stuff like that and seeing how things have evolved with politically, there's just various coincidences. Even though the vaccine, I will say, at least is a good thing because it's helping end this pandemic and lead us to normal life whenever the heck it came out. And I think just bringing all this up at the end of the day, we're just to put this in full circle, is that politicians really shouldn't be revered as gods, bringing it back to Will Hessert's point. And bringing it back to Brendan's point is that we just have to be our own sources. We're smart enough to know where we could go to trusted sources. We're educated, and thank goodness we're educated. And at the end of the day, with everything going on, just trust yourself. Don't give everything to politicians. I'm sure you both can agree, right?
Yeah. All right. So you brought up educated. All right. I'm gonna steer the conversation because we'll leave the politics for something else. But the reason why I wanted to talk with Will, I've been meaning to talk with you for years.
Let's do this.
So the story goes, like, just So I went to Bates College up in Maine, and I went to school with your friend Gavin Search, and I had a very tough time at Bates, and Gavin had a tough time at Bates from like what it seemed like too. Now we like I seen him around in high school, and he like knew of me too. But we weren't friends in high school. But it was one of those. It was a cool um kind of just effect of life that we were both far from home and we were both struggling. We were both in the metaphorical trenches. And it was like, all right, like we're from the same hometown. So we kind of looked out for each other. We had each other's backs. And when I was at school, I really kind of got into entrepreneurship. And I know you're into entrepreneurship. You and I both took the road less traveled. And right now, I wouldn't change my life with anyone else. And it looks like you're doing really well too. It was difficult. It's the whole journey. It's gonna be difficult. I've had my fair shares of like a lot of difficulty, and I'm sure you had too. But so where I drew my interest in you was Gavin. So at Bates, I started a grilled cheese delivery business. Me and my friend, we were stealing bread and cheese out of the dining hall and then selling it for $3, and we made like $1,000 in a week. It blew up.
Boom.
And at that point, like I wasn't going to class. I was just focusing on my business, and I ended up dropping out of school. I left. I took the bet on myself, and everything worked out. But I just always remember Gavin. He was like, "Oh, you should talk to Will because he said you were really into entrepreneurship."
It's not wrong. I did drop out of school, and there were like a few years there where I felt like the dumbest person ever to live. I used to take the weekends off of eating. You know, so I'm 6'5", right?
Mm-hmm.
I was 150 pounds at the height of my poverty. I lived in a shitty little New London apartment. I had a SWAT team raid my neighbor. So that was the kind of neighborhood that I was in.
What?
And the only thought in my mind, okay, I'll tell this story because it's funny as hell, and I'll get back to the main point. So I'm backing out, right? I lived in a neighborhood where when I would get home from work at 5 o'clock, all my neighbors would wake up. So that's just a neighborhood that I was in. So, except this one guy who's always up early, but had all the kind of face tattoos that said, I've killed lots of people. So at this guy's house, there are these two guys in hoodies right up front in this like shitty little Pontiac. And they get out and they have flak jackets on. They whip out pistols, and this freaking like shitty, like A-team like van comes around the corner, and a SWAT team gets out the back. It was like
go
van holding a SWAT team. And then they run up to the guy's door. Freaking van's blocking me in right now as I'm trying to back out, like 4,000-point turn. And the freaking guy with the battering ram was like, I'm like, this guy has face tattoos. You have to put in some work here. Like, this guy is going to eat you for lunch. Like, who put the rookie on the battering ram? And
Yeah.
can I move the van? Can I knock down the door? And in return, will you let me get to work? So yeah, I was very poor for like a really long time. It was not fun. But it ended up working out super well. Like I don't currently like worry about money, which is a huge blessing because I can focus on just building stuff. But was it freaking rough on the journey? It's a pretty unique journey of just like, you think you're an idiot like all the time, and then occasionally there's evidence to the contrary, and you have to hold on to that little bit of evidence that you're not a complete moron screw up and keep going. It's super unique. I'm super glad you got into entrepreneurship. What, like, was there a specific spark for you that like
so one, I was just blessed with entrepreneur genetics. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. My great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather was an entrepreneur, and it all just, I just naturally have the DNA of a hustler. But where it started was at Bates. The party scene was pretty bad, pretty whack. And Matt gave me the idea. One time he said, in college, great fundraiser, a great way to make money in college is like sell grilled cheeses. And then my cousin told me, she inspired me with the story of her friend. He would like go down to the corner store buy a box of fruit snacks and then sell them out individually. And so I put two and two together. And then I said to my boy Jacob Holla, shout out to Jacob. It's like, yo, bro, like, you want to start this grilled cheese business? And he was like, yeah. And it just took off. And I was like, instead of us spending money, let's go make some money. And then it just, everything took off from there. And the journey, you're saying, right? Like, self-doubt is a part of the journey, hardship, but you need that. You need to develop that survival instinct, because when you're going off of that survival instinct, you don't know how strong you can be, right? You really have to be wise. You have to be disciplined, and you have to make things happen. You have to execute.
Yeah, that's awesome that you have the genetic background, because I have no idea how I stumbled into it. No one in my family has ever owned a business. We have some successful corporate people, some successful military people, a lot of drug addicts. So that's more on the consumer side than the producer. Like, at least a drug dealer, there's no thing. Now you just need the morality and you're set. I mean, if you sell pot and you're watching this, no one cares. It's basically,
Yeah.
But if you sell heroin, you should just what's a polite way to say this? Fucking kill yourself. I'll help. Call me. But yeah, it's really just it. You should never start a business to be rich, because it is not at all worth it. You have to almost be incapable of doing anything else, which I think I'm there. Like, the idea of getting a job right now, that like I don't work any corporate job anymore, like I'm good, not going back, I have money in the bank in case everything blows up. I can't. Just emotionally, like, very few things freak me out. I'd probably just join the military at that point. I was like, nope. Like, not going back. Can't bring me back to corporate America no matter what you do. It's just so crushingly stupid. Like, just most jobs. Mm-hmm. And it's being surrounded by people, unless I guess maybe if you work at a great company, but I haven't been able to find one to work for.
Right.
We're just like, doing well makes other people mad at you, because you start rocking the boat. Because when someone sees what you can actually accomplish, not working 80 hours a week, but just like actually working the 40 hours you're there, people are like, whoa, slow down. I only want to put in my 15. I don't want to check Facebook the rest of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But they're paying you for 40, so maybe you should do your job, and maybe you would have been promoted sometime in the last 20 years. Yeah.
Wait, you're saying how, like, people are getting paid for 40 hours of work, but they're really only working for maybe say 15 hours of that?
I mean, some people are working 80 and getting paid 40, but there are a lot of people who work like 10 hours a week and get paid for 40. So I know plenty of people overworked and underpaid, and a lot of people underworked and overpaid. And there are a lot of inefficiencies in that system. It's so hard to fire someone, though, like legally in Connecticut.
Yeah, it really is. You have to be blatantly caught in a scandal with video evidence or audio audience.
or tweet something. That would do it.
Yeah, and we do not endorse that, and make sure you don't do it as well. And
think before you tweet.
Imagine if that should be a lesson in our schools. Besides, we should have some class that just teach you social media etiquette. But yeah, I think the great things you were saying for both of you, an entrepreneurial qualities, is the fact that not everyone, if it was easy, everybody would do it, but it's not. People don't want to put in that work. And something I've noticed getting the podcast sphere, I'm 6 months in, still have a lot. Still very new, still have a lot of work to go, but we're still happy where we are, 60 plus episodes by the time this is released. But it's amazing when I collaborate with other podcasters within those 6 months. There's only one show that is still doing it with me. It's the Word for Word podcast. The other ones, which you can see back, I haven't seen them post any episodes. I know one for a fact stopped doing it, and I always did hate like that stereotype when people said, "Oh, everybody has a podcast." It's not necessarily true. Anyone could post anything on an RSS feed, but they actually put in work and staying consistent and doing the show. It is a whole new ball game, and that made me. That's what I get with podcasting, and I'm sure you guys see in entrepreneurship too. So many people who think they're going to be hitting on the next big business, being the next big CEO, getting on that Jobs Musk special category of almost celebrity like CEOs. But I think we all can agree, and what makes us all special is the fact that the consistency isn't going away, and most importantly, that Will said, it is a priceless journey to do it. We do it because we want to do it. I want to make podcasts because they're fun. I get to talk with great people, and I get to help show the worth of the guests, and the audience always has something to get out of it, hence the productive conversation. And you guys can say that too if you want to add anything onto it too, as you're making your business because you have a purpose to do it, right?
Yeah, there's nothing
Purpose,
else.
yep. Actually, so I just thought of something else, but one of the reasons why, like, right, people want to start a business for money, and right, we all want money, but it's more so you want freedom. It's the fact that you could do whatever you want. You could be on your own schedule and you don't have to answer to anyone. And I think that's why you should create a business, but also to an entrepreneur, by definition, or a definition I like for an entrepreneur is you create the world in the lens that you want to see. So you're adding some sort of value to the world. You're creating some sort of product or service that makes life more efficient for people around you.
100%. Like I really look up to Elon, and I know that's some weird controversial statement.
Let
A lot of people hate him because he's rich. I'm like, yes. So I'm gonna just vent for a second.
it out.
Is the overwhelming majority of his wealth is from Tesla, right? SpaceX is probably valued at like 50 or 60 billion. Tesla is worth like 10 times that. God bless.
Yeah, bless you.
So most of his wealth has come from Tesla. The primary reason why renewable energy and electric cars have not been able to go mass market is a battery problem. Tesla has single-handedly advanced battery technology in a way that no other company has. They now have the lowest cost solar in America. They have the only successfully mass marketed electric cars at the scale and quality that they have it, which has forced other automakers to jump in.
Yeah.
And they're probably 15 years ahead in autonomy because all million Teslas driving around right now have cameras in all of them, tracking every movement of the cars, feeding an AI that will handle the self-driving. While companies like Waymo that Google owns pay engineers $150,000 a year to drive around and get data. Tesla gets 1 million people driving because they've just been installing those cameras in the cars since 2012. So think about all the advancements of technology that happen, because once self-driving happens, most traffic deaths are going to go away.
Yeah.
Between the renewable energy and electric cars, that will solve approximately 10 to 15% of the climate problem. By 20, I'd say 40 is a safe bet, because you have to not only keep selling them, but eventually have to replace the gasoline cars and put more and more panels up. But that's solving a major issue here on Earth. And then he wants to take his money that he made solving an earthly problem to send people to Mars.
Yeah,
Which,
buddy.
in the event that, I don't know, any of the 6,000 nukes on our side or Russia's side decides to go and all of us die in nuclear fire, that there's still some humans somewhere, because we have no proof of aliens. As far as we know, we're the only intelligent life in the entire universe. I hope not. But right now,
UFO evidence is coming out supposedly this year.
In 6 months.
And they're supposed to reveal what they got.
But what if those are
they
humans
really?
in the future, and then by destroying the Earth, then we should just work off the assumption we're alone in the universe. So we really need to have at least a couple people not die.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's what he's doing. And then people are like, he's too rich. Like, first off, all his wealth is in Tesla. So he really can't like do anything with it. It's just equity. Like he can't
He,
go spend
it's not my fault the
$100 million.
car is awesome to buy.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it is his fault, but like people bought it. You know,
Well,
This guy's
yeah.
so crazy that he borrowed $1 billion. Because normally, like what Zuckerberg did to buy his house, he borrowed against his Facebook stock so he wouldn't have to sell it and bought a house. Elon borrowed $1 billion against his Tesla stock and bought more Tesla stock with the $1 billion. If Tesla fails, he's done. He has no more money. It's all gone. So, balls. But yeah,
I'm a huge believer and supporter and fan of Elon too. And that's another thing you're bringing up, right? People are like, oh, he has too much money. He's a billionaire, yes. But most people don't realize billionaires are billionaires in most of the assets. Like there's no checking account that has $3
billion on my Bank of America app. On my Bank of America,
right? At 250,000.
Right. These billionaires, they store it in companies, they put them in stocks, they put them in real estate. So it's that asset. Like very few people. I don't even know. Bezos, Warren Buffett. Maybe I don't know how much. Maybe they have like 1 billion in like liquid cash. But these 100 billionaires, these people who have hundreds of billions, they don't have that in like physical cash in a bank. But also, yeah,
it's a score almost.
About Elon. So his whole thing, and he learned it from Henry Ford. He wants the average man, the everyday man, to be able to afford a Tesla, and Henry Ford with the Ford, because Teslas right now, I think they're like 40 grand, and he wants to get them down to like 32 grand. To put that in perspective, that's half the price of a Mercedes, of a BMW, of an Audi. And Elon, yeah, he wants to give fast internet, fast Wi-Fi with the satellites to the whole world. Like he's solving so many problems.
Yeah. Full disclosure, like a quarter of my net worth is Tesla stock. So I'm only hyping him up because I want you to all buy Tesla stock and make me richer.
Right now, let me go buy some more Tesla.
I'll have that. This actually is a great transition to my next point. And it was just announced at the time of this recording that you could purchase a Tesla with Bitcoin. And I know both of you are very interested in the world of cryptocurrency and investing. So why don't we get into that? Talk to me, for those who don't. It's been a very popular trend, but talk to my audience about what exactly cryptocurrency is and where do you project its future goal to be, whether you're your Dogecoin, the obviously very popular Bitcoin. I'm a Bitcoin investor. I definitely believe you two are as well. But talk to me, amongst you guys, talk to me about cryptocurrency. What is it, and where can we expect it to be going for our public?
Going to the moon in the form of Dogecoin. So write that down. No, I mean, cryptocurrency. I mean, Brendan, do you want to take a...
I'm no expert. I'm not going to act like an expert, but like plain and simple, think of it like the internet's money, right?
The currency of the internet, almost.
Currency of the internet, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in the same way that you picture, because we all look at different things as stores of wealth, right? So throughout human history, people have always used gold, right? Just like a universal sign of wealth. Then we had currency that was backed by gold. Now we primarily operate off of fiat currency, which is the store of value that a dollar bill has is your faith in a dollar bill. So it's not backed by anything material. Some people say that's destroyed the economy. I've looked at the math and I'm just not quite sure that that's true, but as much as my libertarian friends will be mad at me, I'm not sure the evidence is behind that. But Bitcoin, I'm not sure if I'm sure it wasn't the first cryptocurrency, but the idea is that through encryption, you can verify the ownership of this asset and verify transactions. So you need an insane amount of processing power to run these complex algorithms that then allow you to verify this person bought this thing, right? Or this person owns this thing. And by verifying transactions, verifying ownership, and having machines that run that, the system rewards you with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So
just like a stocks, investing in any company stocks, that
exactly.
algorithm decides where it goes, and you
Yep.
get
So if
rewarded.
you had
with
like a
it.
little server in like your back room, right? And it was working really hard to verify all the stock trades on Robinhood. And then as a reward, Robinhood paid you with stocks. But there's a finite number. Eventually, it will stop paying out. So it is a finite resource because it was built to mimic gold, because there's only so much gold. So if you use it as a store of wealth, well, there is a limit on the amount of gold that there is. So therefore, it becomes a more stable form of value. Fiat currency, you can just keep printing money forever. Now, eventually you'll inflate the economy, and then, in 1930s Germany, it was cheaper to burn your money than it was to buy firewood because inflation was so high. You can look at pictures of kids
That's
playing with
crazy.
stacks of trillions of marks, like little billion-dollar bills of marks, when it was to be equivalent to $1 pre-World War I. And
It was like $100,000 for a loaf of bread.
And then the next day you'd come back and it was 200,000. And the next day you come back and you can see the same thing like Venezuela right now, where the average Venezuelan has lost 16 pounds from the economic crisis there. So people's faith in fiat currency is diminishing, which is pushing people towards crypto. And as people push towards crypto, main institutional investors like Square bought a lot of Bitcoin, and I think they bought Ethereum. Tesla bought a lot. Eventually, all these big mutual funds will start putting a percentage of their money into crypto, and it will probably primarily be Bitcoin, because that's the most popular one. So
it's the McDonald's of the cryptos.
Exactly. So like, you run some big hedge fund, you don't want to miss the train, so you put 1% of the portfolio there, because most of the money that is invested is handled by a very small group of very large companies that will start to diversify into crypto. That will have the crypto shoot up. In my opinion, I am not a financial advisor. I don't have more than like 3% of my money in crypto, on the off chance that I'm totally wrong, because at any moment the government could just make it illegal. Like, India is literally trying to make cryptocurrency illegal.
Yeah, crypto, you have to actually put it on your tax return once you buy it.
Well,
I did my.
You do, but
I'm just going with what I saw on my tax report and H&R
I
Block.
put it on mine. Okay.
I saw they asked, "Do you have crypto?" I didn't buy it till 2021, so I don't have to file it this year. Or I said, I don't have to file it this from 2020, but I just thought that was interesting that they asked for that.
I have friends that haven't, but instead they bought material things to store their wealth, to move the Bitcoin out, but you can't track that either.
Yeah.
So, but I won't give them up, and I don't think the IRS has guns, so.
Yeah, we don't need someone to look out for anyone, but yeah. So, as we see, it's clearly growing now. You could, but as I said, you could buy this crypto. You could buy a Tesla now with it. And when I was first being aware of crypto, I knew that was where you'd have to get, illegal things off the black market. But do you feel, whether it's the end of this decade, maybe next decade, or the decade after, that we are going to see that option where you're going on Amazon, you fill out your credit card, you can fill out your PayPal, here's where you can fill out your crypto. You see that coming?
Yeah. I don't think it'll replace it, but I think it'll
be an addition to.
Yeah, how I look at it right now, it's more of just like an asset, right? Like, because you're not going down now. Like, I think Tesla is now taking, they're taking Bitcoin. They're like, you can pay in Bitcoin, but like, it's not like you're going down to the local pizzeria and here's 0.00001 Bitcoin. You're getting like, just like, I don't know, just invest into it. I'm no financial advisor either, but that's what I would just say is like, put monies because right now it's, I think $53,000 per coin. They're saying it might go to 100,000 by the end of the year. It's probably going to go to 500,000 within this decade. So hop in early, invest now before it's too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you put in 3% of your money, I mean, it's not going to stay where it is. It's going to go to zero, or it's going to go to like 500,000. So it's don't put all your money into it, but a portion. I actually have a funny story on this specific topic of buying things with your crypto.
Tell me.
One of my companies, right? We were like under investigation from our credit card processor because we got a handful of chargebacks, right? So someone went to their bank and disputed the charge because, long story short, we sell this government permit, right? So we will file it on your behalf, do all the work. So we charge the amount that the permit costs plus a profit margin. There are a small handful of companies that have figured out I can pay the government, or I can pay a third party, and then I can dispute the charge, get the money back, and I get the filing for free. So we got like 3 or 4 of those, and they wouldn't give us any of our money. I got paid today. It was great. It was like 20 grand that I've been waiting on, like, because we're still paying for people's services, you know? It's like, well, you know, I've spent the 10 grand on the stuff. I'd like the 20 grand. But anyway, that's its own thing. But so I was investigating, well, you know, there have to be payment processors out there that are more willing to handle disputes, right? Because once you go above a 1%, no credit card will take you. We're not above a 1%, but I just wanted to know our options in case the problem got worse. So my idea was, well, what's the most renowned industry for high chargebacks? Porn sites. So I went from porn site to porn site, looking at like the membership signups, and I was shocked. Most of them don't take credit cards. You pay in crypto.
Really?
Like, no way I'm going to get a bunch of customers to pay in crypto. Like the thrill of sex is the only thing that can currently motivate someone to convert their money into crypto, into
the thrill of sex. That's
my soul hurt after doing that. It's like an hour of like just like going through like porn sites. I was like, Jesus, if I see like one more secretary, I'm gonna just, my eyes.
Yeah, you just pull up on a porn site and you just see somebody getting fucked, and
oh my gosh, like
really
for an hour, like
it's really not good for the brain to look at that on the reg.
No, and it's just like you try not to look. Like, where's the member button? Because it's just like it's too much stimulus for an hour. Like, Jesus Christ, I don't care who here watches porn, who watching this watches porn. An hour is way too much, and we should all, like, your soul hurts. Like,
yeah, you do feel dirty.
Get a therapist. Like, just too much. Too much.
You have that, man. What is wrong with me after the fact? When people usually use that porn site, you know, to do a humanly function when needed, no matter your orientation of that, and then you're just like, huh. And then you just see where I believe I heard this fact that 1/3 of all internet traffic is dedicated to porn. 1/3.
Probably more than that, honestly.
Yeah, and that sounds low to me.
This sounds low. And it's just it is crazy that where we could try these new things, and I guess crypto and the porn industry. That sounds like a Vice video right there. What you were explaining. How are you going to pay for your porn?
It's just like, I'm like, all right, so maybe this didn't actually bear any fruit. I did find a couple of credit card processors. There's like one in particular that kept calling up, and I called them, and like this guy with like this really husky voice was, "Hello, this is like, hi James, my name's Will. I own such and such company. You know, we were just looking at like higher risk credit card processor. Like, what's the nature of your business?" And like, I just like, you know, we do this with small businesses. Like, our goal is to just help automate a lot of the processes that small businesses go through. And he's like, nothing in the adult industry. I'm like, no. He's like, sorry, we're exclusively focused on this. So I'm like, okay, James, goodbye. It's just
that's so stereotypical.
It's freaking creepy as hell. Even the payment processor sales guy is just like, bro, are you hitting on me? Like, my wife would not like to hear this right now. Like, get off the phone.
Your card, you put your card in always where you just put cards in sketchy places, then you have a report. Someone tried to break your system. Like, I remember I went to the sketchy gas station in Queens once where it's just like, man, this looks bad. But I really I forgot. I needed to go to the bathroom really bad. It was like, you can't get in here unless you buy something. And well, I did. I got a water and I didn't have cash. And I swear to you, it was the morning of where someone says someone tried to break into your card. So wow.
Amazing. I've been to some weird gas stations and all of them in New York City, and the gas is always like $5 a gallon.
Yeah, it's
For New York
bad,
City.
man.
You're like, what the
It's
hell?
bad.
Are we at
For
war
people who
in the
barely
Middle East
drive
again?
too? The residents at least barely drive there, but that's how they get you.
Yeah. Wild. So yeah, that's so you can buy porn with crypto now. And that's my story.
Mhm.
I had a weird week, guys. I'm not gonna lie. It's been entrepreneurship's weird.
Mhm.
Get some stories, but yeah,
Right.
and hopefully one day you'll have all the money in the world to publish your stories with.
That's what I love to hear, and we can't wait to see it. So, one of the other questions about you guys, since you're both have entrepreneurial spirits, and gain your news in very certain ways. I know you both are very big readers, and I just wanted to say, how important is reading to you guys? Specifically, reading books makes a difference for you to try to stick out in front of other people. Where Brendan showed that power book, we both got a positive response for you. I know another Brendan can go on. Dale Carnegie's How to Make Friends and Succeed with it.
I have one here.
What book is that? This is 48 Laws of Power right here by Robert Greene. Yes, I'm reading that right now.
But talk to me, and another thing that I do read, but I read different books. I read more media based and pop culture, sports, politics, all that helps me stay in the loop and become a better podcaster and broadcaster here. But talk to me about the importance of reading in both your guys' journeys in life compared to people who go to watch YouTube all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that. There are solid channels, of course, that we can gain knowledge, but there seems to be an extra special factor when you focus on reading books. Brendan, why don't you start and explain why reading books is more important for you for what you want to do?
There's a few answers. So, one, a lot of billionaires and a lot of millionaires read books. This one man changed my life, and I'm proud to follow him. Tai Lopez. Will, do you know Tai Lopez? You follow him or familiar with him?
I have tried to get a Lamborghini in my garage.
All right, so that was his marketing, right? That was
no. He's a genius.
Yeah.
Marketer, but I've listened. I never paid him, but I listened to some of his free stuff, and he was solid. I was a little surprised because the marketing was a little but no, really good advice from him.
Yeah. So Tai, he gets dismissed because they're here in my garage with my Lamborghini, but the whole message, Tai's my guy. So basically the whole point, first he showed the Lamborghini to get your attention, but we kind of talked about this earlier in the podcast. People just want to dismiss. So there's 4 reasons, right? When someone has more than us, when someone's more successful than us, we have 4 types of responses. First, we're going to say they cheated. They stole it. They're going to say it was given to them. They're going to say they got lucky. But the fourth person is going to humble themselves and say, how did you do that? And how can I learn from you? And his whole thing was basically about knowledge. But basically, I went down his funnel and I learned so much. But he really got me into reading. Bill Gates, the 14th, maybe 20th time richest man over, takes reading vacations. He goes on his private jet just to read. Warren Buffett says he reads 800 pages a day. So basically, the richest people in the world say read, and you should read too. Reading is good for concentration, right? There's no pictures in this. It's small font, just words. It's good for concentration, and just be a student of life, student of history.
Yeah, no, spot on. That number one, it's an amazing book. Everything Robert Greene wrote should be read. That book in particular is banned in prisons because it's so effective at helping people gain power. That it helps people put together gangs so well. that they don't want that knowledge in prisons. They're like, no, you have to be a little more moral to read this book.
This thing right here, I think a lot of it was inspired by Sun Tzu, Art of War.
Yep.
But yeah, there's some stuff that I don't want to repeat. It's so brilliant, but it's manipulative. And it's like you know it so you can see it, but there's just like
you know how to endorse that book.
I think there's one law. It's like make people dependent on you, right? There's make people dependent on you is just, I don't know if that's the exact one verbatim, but
it's true. I mean, the first law is what is it? Never outshine the master.
Yeah, that's the first one. Never outshine your master.
Great rule because they'll hate you.
Yeah, so look at this. Make others come to you. Use bait if necessary. Avoid the unhappy, unlucky. Learn to keep people dependent on you. That's the one I'm talking about. Use selective honesty and generosity to dismiss your victim. Like it's laws of power. The government's doing it. Militaries are doing it. People in power are doing this. So, but it's definitely, there's some stuff where be aware, but it is kind of manipulative.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like I read 75 books in 2016. That was the same year that the SWAT team happened, and I was 150 pounds. And my life was like I was like very, very miserable. I went to 3 funerals, all of loved ones. I buried my favorite uncle, buried Sean Sullivan, one of my best friends. Like, horrible year. Awful.
Sorry that all happened, Will.
Yeah, that was that one hurt. But so reading for me, because if we flash back to when I was 16, I was having a super, super hard time. Like suicidal depression, like in a hole. Like I was literally losing my mind, and I like knew it, but I didn't know how to stop. And so what got me out of it was essentially just a conclusion of like, well, you're sitting here and you want to die, right? Well, death is inevitable. So I was like trying to like logic my way through this, and it weirdly worked. I don't recommend doing that. You should see a therapist if you have suicidal ideations. This is a terrible idea, and don't do what I did. It's a bad idea. But it's like, you're going to die anyway. Like, you're just guaranteed. So while you're here, if the world is so horrific that it has brought you to this place, then why not you dedicate whatever time you have left to making it as better as possible? All right, well, what's the best step? Well, I guess it's to get a little bit better every day, and then maybe eventually I'll be the kind of person who can make an impact. And first book I ended up picking up was Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because the kids in AP.
Robert Kiyosaki.
Oh, yeah, because weirdly, Mr. Harridan from Norwalk High, who hated me, by the way, did not like me. He liked all my friends, did not like me. I think it's because I was like, the Gulf of Tonkin didn't happen. He's like, no, it did. It's in the book. I'm like, Library of Congress said it was fake. Anyway, that's a dumb thing. Because I was probably a know-it-all little shit, because that's what 15-year-old Will Hessert was. But it was just, all right, let me read this book because it came highly recommended from the kids in AP Econ. Oh, let me get the next one. Let me get the next one. And it like read 75 books in 2016.
Something else.
A lot. One of them was literally the entire Bible. So that one took a while. It's like 47 books or 66 books rather in one giant book.
Oh yeah.
But that gave me a lot of skill sets. It gave me a lot of practical things, but it also did a lot to shift my mindset, because whenever you're reading a book, right? This book I can't recommend enough. This is the best book on changing your life. Atomic Habits by James Clear. I've read a lot of books on like how to change your habits. Takes all of their best ideas from all those other books, makes them better, and gets rid of the crap that doesn't work. This one's amazing. But you get their best words edited that you are now reading with your own internal monologue. So it shifts your mindset over time. When you're reading someone's work, you start to think like them. That's both a blessing and also a warning, because a lot of self-development books are, trying to find a nice phrase, dog shit. And so you got to figure out what is the marketing hype and what is real. 48 Laws of Power is a real book. Atomic Habits is a real book. But something my mentor taught me is you never want to read a book from someone whose entire claim to fame is having written books. Like, is there something that, because like Dale Carnegie wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People. Well, what's your qualification? Oh, decades teaching public speaking and being the most effective communication trainer in the United States for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm curious to read your book, and that's still on like the top 10 list of business books. It was written like 100 years ago. And so reading specific personal development books, understanding history, understanding your field, like media, like you're reading in your industry to grow yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Read things to grow you, to grow in your industry. Don't use reading as a place to escape from doing the work, but don't use work as a way to escape from growing yourself. Balance.
Damn. That's deep right there. Yeah, to add to that, two things I want to share with the viewers out here. So off of Will's note, don't build your lifestyle around your career. Build your career around your lifestyle. And the second thing I'm gonna leave, for what profits a man to gain the world but lose his own soul. And that's from the Bible right there. And then just so many people, and society wires us to be that, where we chase the highest paying job, but it's going to consume all of our time. Our default should be health, wealth, love, and happiness. A lot of us chase money, but we neglect our health. A lot of us chase money and we take the highest paying job rather than what makes us happy, what makes us fulfilled. And so we don't have health. We come home and we're so burnt out. We don't want to go hang out with friends. We don't want to go hang out with family. We don't want to pursue a relationship because we're so burnt out from work. And then happiness is fulfillment towards a cause that is greater than yourself. And once again, we chase money, but we get burnt out. So for what profits a man to gain the world or lose his own soul?
Jesus had some wisdom.
Oh, yeah. You both have really profound answers to that. And it just brings us together, the importance of reading is just a reflection of life at the end of the day. It's storytelling. And it's always something that we could connect and learn and grow from. And the best way, even for someone who personally prefers podcasting and movies with storytelling just as a favorite thing, but I love reading as well because it allows me to get lost in the world of what, as you mentioned, whoever wrote this, fiction and nonfiction. And then I can genuinely gain knowledge that will help propel me for the future at the end of the day. Whether it's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or the freaking green eggs and ham, at the end of the day, these are stories that help us fulfill and see how we can enhance our lives. And I think reading is the most intimate way to do that at the end of the day, because you're reading and you jump in that world. So another thing I want to brush up upon quickly. Will, one thing you did, you talked to us about, I believe it's 48 and 48, right?
The 4x4 by 48.
Yes, 4x4 by 48. Talk to me about what that means, what you did in your part for this cause, and what did you do? What did you do? Tell us about 4x4 by 48, and what was the cause behind it?
So if you really don't like yourself and you want to punish yourself brutally, you should do what I'm about to tell you. Now, so for those of you guys who don't know David Goggins out there, I cannot recommend listening to this man's life story. He overcame terrible abuse. Was one of the only Black kids in his town, had the Ku Klux Klan marching in their parade, ended up losing 100 pounds in 3 months to become a U.S. Navy SEAL. and set like world record for the most number of pull-ups. And his whole mantra is stay hard. So he's just always challenging himself and growing himself as a way to, if you can put yourself through suffering and come out the other side, well, now you're tougher for it. So he invented the challenge, the 4x4x48, which is running 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. So that means, so Friday night, starting at 11 p.m., whatever the first Friday in March was, I was up at 11 p.m., ran 4 miles, came home, went to sleep, woke up at 3 a.m., ran 4 miles, went to sleep, kept doing that until 7 p.m. Sunday. And that was my last run. So I knew that I wanted to do something to raise money for a charity that I care about, which is Evidence Action. And their whole thing is they analyze what's actually the best place to put your dollar to pull someone out of poverty, right? Like, turns out Tom's Shoes actually really sucks at that. And there are many other places to put your money. And they found that by deworming children, it gets them into school better. And so it costs about $1 to deworm a child, and it will increase their lifetime earnings by about $1,100. So it becomes the most effective dollar for dollar return on pulling someone out of poverty. So I knew I wanted to do something to raise money for that. The week of, and I hadn't really been running in like 2-3 months consistently at all. Like, I'd go for a run a week, maybe. I was like, you know what? I've been so focused on work that I've kind of become like a soft little bitch. And I'm just going to do the Goggins challenge this weekend. It's this weekend. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to raise money for Evidence Action. We'll just figure it out. Fuck. It was so much. My feet were done.
Yeah, tell us about your body after the fact. What was your feeling? What pain on the joints and the muscles and all the body parts and your dehydration? Tell us about what your body's going through after such an incredible feat.
Oh, how graphic can I get?
Mm-hmm. Be as open as honest as you want, man. Did you get a 6-pack after this, or maintain yours even more that you probably have in there?
No, I actually started to get one this week, and I don't know why. But no, didn't. It was just, I lost 10 pounds, but it was all unhealthy weight loss. Like when your muscles are eating itself. It's like I still had like that little bit of dad flab. That was still there, but I was much weaker. So I lost 10 pounds in the first 12 hours. That was great. The first run, I had carb loaded too much, so I ended up throwing up. So like my 7 p.m. run, which we're 24 hours through, right? Felt fine on 7 p.m. Saturday. 11 p.m. Saturday, it really started to hit the fan. Like, cause I was consistently just banging out like 19-minute miles. They felt like 12, 13 minute. It felt like 15 minute. And then by like 11 in the morning, I was limping because my feet hurt so bad. So now it's taking me like an hour and a half to get through 4 miles. It's not running anymore. I'm limping. My butthole hurt because I had the shits, because whatever was happening in my body, it was just diuretic.
Yeah, I heard there's such thing as runner's diarrhea.
Is that what that is? Because I don't know anything. I ran into this. I'm like, whatever, I'll just do it. It'll be fine. It's like, no, you moron. But so I had that going. That sucked. I was becoming delirious. I couldn't warm up because I was burning too many calories. I was under a heated blanket, under a comforter when I got home, and I literally wouldn't get warm. I would shiver the entire time till about 5 minutes before I had to get ready, go back out, refreeze. But at the end, because the last run was one of my fastest.
Really?
And that, because something happened in my mind where I felt like I could do it forever. Like on that 3 p.m. So
it really is all mental, huh?
That's that Goggins switch right there.
I found the switch, and this is what did it. Because I couldn't even like limp normally. I was starting to fall over, and I found a stick, right? And so I took this stick, and I'm freaking walking through Old Saybrook like this, right? And we live in like a beach neighborhood, so you have like the hoity-toity upper middle class old people. And they're looking at me all bundled up with this, like, what's this crackhead doing out here? And
Mhm.
I got so mad because I was just like, and this is, it sounds like Goggins inside your own head. So I literally found that switch. This is what my internal monologue was. Fuck these fucking people. They don't fucking know. I'm about to get worms out of 4,000 fucking kids for the amount of money I raised for charity. Fuck you, you judgmental fucks. I'm going to beat all of you. I'm going to show you. You don't even understand what I'm doing. And I start running down my road with the stick on my busted ass feet with my hurt leg running. Get to the 7 p.m. run, and we're just going. And I've become literally delirious at this point. So I was running with my friend Rob. He owns the gym I go to, and he's like super, super fit. And my wife was happy that he was running this one with me because she was afraid I was going to die because I'd obviously gone crazy. We ran by a Catholic church, and it was like Father Michael presiding, or like Blessed Father Michael. And I just shout, Daddy Michael, like, give me the blessings. And we run by this restaurant, Skippers. And I'm like, move the fuck over, Skippers. I'm the captain in these parts. And then so Rob's just like, the hell's going on? Because I've literally gone crazy at this point. I've lost it. But I could do anything. Like I sprinted the end. I felt great.
You went to Super Saiyan mode.
8 hours. Yeah. After about 2 hours, though, I was like, oh shit, and just crumbled. And I was limping for about a week. But I was still in the gym the next day. There's no running in that workout, just cleans. You know, don't have to be standing.
CrossFit. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, how about that, Will? Brendan, what do you think of that? You could do that?
No, I give that respect. No, I could not do that. I'd probably run like a mile in the gym on the treadmill every day, but like 4, and then another 4, and then another 4, and another 4. No way, Jose. So props to you, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, we commend you, Will, and you were able to raise this great amount of money for charity, and this is why you're the great person you are, man. It's huge props to you.
Appreciate that. It was transformative, man, because I was just like, it's just 4 miles, and you just keep doing it. Like 4 miles isn't that bad. And then I was like, come Wednesday, I'm like, oh shit, I really have to do this weekend. And then like after throwing up halfway through the first run, I'm like, fuck. But like they already gave the money, and we did it through like Facebook donations, so they've already donated. I can't even give it back. So like I literally have to do this now. I was pissed. I did not want to finish that shit. Like the first run, I was like, nope, I want to quit.
And what would you say is that motivating factor was? And as anybody who feels like, oh, I don't want to do it anymore, what would you say to those people as someone who did get that motivational factor and make a big cause? What would you say to those people who need that extra kick as you did?
If you keep pushing, picture you're pushing a giant boulder up a hill, right? And the slope gets steeper and steeper toward the top. It gets more and more and more miserable. So you're more and more tired. So it just feels shittier and shittier. But when you get to the top, you just push that shit down and it rolls. And then it's easy. And once it gets to the bottom, you have the next hill. But you just have to live to the next peak. And that feeling become that. And this is true of entrepreneurship because about 95% of it is setting your eyeballs on fire. But that 5% is so amazing. And it's the ball rolling down. The feeling you have, the pride you have, I have achieved this peak. I can do anything. But the fact that it sucked so much going up the hill is where you get the humility. So they're like, oh yeah, let's do the 4x4x48. I'm not like, yeah, I'll make it my bitch. And I'm like, oh, this is really gonna suck. But like I know I can do it now. So I'm not like full of myself at the end of it. So anyone who does do it, it's not like I'm equal to you. I'm just like, mad respect, dude, because I personally know how freaking horrible it is. So at the end of that suffering, your confidence is up, your humility's up, and I just think it makes you a better person to go through suffering and come out strong the other side.
So profound, man. We love it, Will. And thank you for always having stories like this to help motivate us. I'm sure Brendan agrees as well, right?
Absolutely.
I'm
So
gonna help the Brown brothers, man. That's my role here.
every time in part of the brand. That's why we appreciate and we love you, Will. So one last topic before we do our final questionnaire. Let's talk. We're all from Norwalk, Connecticut. Well, we miss you in Norwalk. But talk to me about what are the things you guys both have gained from going to Norwalk, going through the public school system. Talk to me about what you've learned growing up in Norwalk, from whether it's the Norwalk's culture community. We clearly witnessed from the early 2000s to now a gentrification movement for Norwalk. I mean, Norwalk was pretty shitty at one point. I mean, it really was. Like, what's his name was mayor? I can't think of the guy's name. He had a very memorable name that I can't remember.
Was that Moshe?
Yeah, Mayor Moshe. Like, things were really bad. Crime was up. I mean, just it was like New York's version of the 70s compared to like the 2000s, at least what I remember. I mean, I remember one time we were at one of Britain's Little League games, and there was a shooting by Vets Park, where it used to be a popular place to have these shootings in that neighborhood. And I'll never forget, that one bridge that separates between downtown South Norwalk and then you go to Vets Park. I'll never forget, I saw like 8 cop cars all in a row moving. It was crazy, but that used to be it. But now we've seen so many new apartment buildings, obviously the new mall in Norwalk. The grass is just straight up greener. And we grew up in a time that Norwalk had very low lows, but transitioned to, what it is now. And it's just so popular for people to go to now. But having said all that, what are the lessons you gained out of growing up in Norwalk to be the people you are on your journeys to be huge, successful entrepreneurs? We'll start with Brendan in this one, and then we'll hear what Will has to say.
I'm curious. I want to hear Will's point of view on this.
Okay, then we'll start with Will.
I got really good at doing drugs. No, just kidding. Yeah, I mean, I'm grateful for Norwalk because it felt like we had so many different backgrounds. I mean, I joke when I describe Sono to people now. It's like, well, you ever been to downtown Sanford? Yeah. Have you ever been to downtown Bridgeport? Hell no. All right, well, we have both. Literally, like at the train tracks, there's literally a wrong side of the tracks. I'm like, oh my God, it's the saying, it's real. But you have people who you go to school with, and that summer they'll be bouncing around the multiple vacation homes that they have. And other people, when they get like the breakfast and the lunch at school, that might be their only meals. So there's this huge gap. Like, I mean, I know people who never went to school with like a person of color. I dated a girl in high school who didn't go to Norwalk. I went to school in a better town, and she said, like, yeah, we literally have to import Black people from Bridgeport because there are none here. I know,
like busing in Boston in the 70s.
Yeah, I know they send kids from Bridgeport. At least they used to Staples High, Darien High, like a couple other, like there's a program, Greenwich High. But meanwhile, in Norwalk, we have people of all different colors. We had people of all different economic backgrounds. So when I'm out in the world, like, I feel like there are people from more privileged areas. Like, you see a black guy, you're like, oh my God, what do I do? Like, nothing. It's just a guy. You're fine. So I think that's helpful. I didn't realize that the schools weren't that good until, like, now I'm a parent. I'm trying to figure out the scores of the schools. And Norwalk, but
when you change so many superintendents like our public school system has, I'm sure that doesn't help the score.
When you get rid of Mr. Mecca, it all goes down. No, I'm just kidding. I like talked to him twice. I don't know if he was good.
Reggie Rob.
Having people like Glenn Couture Oh my gosh, just like a couple of these all-star teachers at Norwalk High really transformed me, meeting the people that I met. Nothing but gratitude. I know a lot of people like to shit on Norwalk, but I, I never got shot at. I don't know. Like it was pretty good for me. I don't know.
What would you have to say? By the way, Mr. Couture, he is a dream podcast guest. I plan on once we have a certain amount of numbers and substantial bill. I mean, we'll always be substantial, but once we have a certain amount of numbers, I'm going to pitch the show to him the right time. Probably, I just have to have him on, even if this show gets established and is a huge podcasting network. I have to get him on. I have to. Anyways, I just want to say that.
Canceled instantly. No, I'm just kidding. Twitter cancels productive conversations after madman jokes about killing students.
Oh, I refuse for that day to happen, but but Britta, what would you have to say about growing up in Norwalk? How would you answer that question?
Nothing but gratitude, like Will said. Norwalk made me who I am. Norwalk is my home. And we live in a very unique place. And when you grow up in Norwalk, a lot of people are like, yo, I can't wait to get out. I want to get out of Norwalk. But then once you leave, right, you're like, oh, like, man, I was missing out. Like, I'm glad for Norwalk. And just physically, right, we have a beach. We have a mall. We have 2 bowling alleys. We have a downtown strip. We have the best food. We have
parks, real
like,
parks.
It's just great. But also, too, the people there, Norwalk is a blood type. And we live in a very unique part in the country, very unique part in the world where your best friend could be from the country club and then your other best friend could be from the hood. And you see all spectrums of life, all walks of life. I think Norwalk Public Schools is one of the most diverse public schools systems in America. And you get that taste of everything. And like Will was saying before, there's some people that like don't have any friends of color. They've never hung out with them. And people, so I went to public school, I went to Norwalk High School, and then I went to Bates College. And Bates College on paper is considered a little Ivy League school, very, very good school on paper. And the people that went there were coming from the best schools. Phillips Andover, Phillips Exeter, Lawrenceville Academy, Choate. And all those people were idiots. They were idiots. They have no sense, right? So there's your book education, right? Then there's social and cultural education, right?
And emotional too.
And emotional education, emotional intelligence. I learned all that stuff from Norwalk. In Norwalk, you learn how to develop a tough skin. You learn perseverance. You learn nothing will be given to you. You have to earn it yourself. You're going to be roasted. You're going to have to learn how to, stand up for yourself. You're going to have to learn how to read people. You're going to have to learn how to negotiate. You're going to have to learn how to sell yourself. And when I was with all those people from the top 1%, all these rich people, billionaire kids, they were idiots. They were from, I like to say, you either from the jungle or you're from the bubble, right? Norwalk teaches you how to survive in the jungle because all those people, when they leave the bubble, right? The world isn't Rolls Royces, caviar dinners, and all that stuff that what these people are used to. When you walk down the street in New York City, you're going to get cracked. You're going to get punched in the face if you're acting like, oh, la-di-da-di-da, everyone's so nice. That's another thing, right? I love Norwalk so much, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. And right now, Norwalk served me well. Norwalk served all of us well, and it has a huge foundation in my growth.
Yeah, man. I want to open up offices in Norwalk, give back, hire a bunch of people from Norwalk in Norwalk, give back. It's a great spot. And the Frosties is freaking amazing. I'm just going to plug them. Like, my wife and I are obsessed. Like, every time we're near Norwalk, like visiting my mom's, can you go to Frosties? And like, yes.
Yeah, perfect.
I definitely will talk about our favorite Norwalk things. Just the one last thing, and this is a serious part, and then we'll just get to funny Norwalk things and then the final questionnaire. But I think, obviously, as we mentioned in the common theme, is Norwalk is a diverse place with all different backgrounds. And obviously anyone could say, oh, you could name any other major city like that. But I think with the thing that makes Norwalk different and stick out, and especially Fairfield County, obviously a world-renowned famous county, being a suburb of New York City. I think the thing that makes it stick out compared to other towns similar to us, or I should say cities similar to us that's so diverse, like Stanford. Stanford's obviously pretty major, but it's also a city with major industries involved with it. I mean, you have CBS. I mean, you have NBC Sports there. You have major accounting firms located in Stanford. You have WWE and all of that. You have big Fortune 500 companies in Norwalk, and sorry, in Stanford. And then if you go on the same thing with White Plains, another big major in city. Like Norwalk is set up almost like a perfect town to set up a TV show. It is a city, has over 100,000 people, but it's not associated with, like I said, no. Obviously, there are major companies based in Norwalk, and as we see, probably as it's going to grow since its gentrification movement. But Norwalk is just a naturally big city in a big area. Like, you know where I'm getting at with this? It has
Norwalk,
its own special breed in that
yeah.
sense, and it can't really. And when you compare it to other cities, what makes it stick out is because of how naturally it has came to fold into this world. So many people just got attracted to go there, whether it was affordable at the time, whether we've seen some really wealthy areas. I mean, if you live by the beach in Norwalk, you're set. And I think it just naturally came that way. It came the most natural without major industry attracting people towards it. You
Yeah,
were
one
about to
thing
say something
about
else, Brendan?
Norwalk, it is a city. It's not necessarily a metropolis. It is a city, but it
Yeah.
has that small town vibe, but not in a bad way. And like everyone knows everyone, everyone has mutual respect. And fortunately, I just felt growing up like very inclusive. Like everyone, there is your cliques in high school and everything, but like I felt a lot of inclusion and almost like us versus that, kind of like an us versus them mentality, but all of us, we were us, and them were Stanford somewhere else. And so yeah, I think one of the beauty things about Norwalk, it's a city, but it has that small town vibe in not a bad way, but people know each other and people have respect for one another.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Anything else to add with that in the general perspective of Norwalk, Will?
Summed it up great. No need to add when the bow's already put on the present.
Perfect, perfect. And just some funny Norwalk things. Just tell me one who's some of your favorite teachers from Norwalk High that you have. What are some of your funniest memories you've seen from Norwalk High that hasn't been mentioned already? Obviously, any couture story. Um, who remembers when you went to lunch, people would throw slushies in the specific stairway that everybody would still
Oh my
walk?
God, I forgot about that.
Like, wow, how cruel.
Oh, and then you got like shipped away to Briggs for doing it. So where'd they go? They went to
Oh,
Briggs.
I just really wish. I wonder what Norwalk High was in a really great time, like in the 90s or the 80s or 70s, when you had no social media. Like, it's hard to find those type of pictures. I can't find them anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, dude, there's so many stories of just the insanity. Most of my crazy stories are all band related because
Mhm.
I'm an ex-cult member. I still love my old Colts so much. Dude, we just did dumb shit all the time. It was just
You versus
amazing.
Mr. Harridan too, as well.
Oh my God. So, all right, here's my grievance. I'm gonna air grievances. So, senior year, National Honor Society, there were about 40 of us, right? 20 of us had not fulfilled our responsibilities in terms of community service, right? 10 of us, me
Ooh.
included, had done the service. We just hadn't completed the monthly form, right? You had to do like 3 hours a month. I was like helping start a tutoring program, and like I like programmed the database for us to work off of. I was putting in like at least 20 hours a month, right? So I was blowing it out of the water. I just was so busy trying to figure everything out. I forgot to handle the forms. Same is true of 9 other people. 10 other people just didn't do the service. 10 people that didn't do the service, to my knowledge, because I remember the story, I was 17 and a little bit of a dickhead. So maybe that's affected this the actual truth. But the 10 people who didn't do the service got to make it up. The 9 other people that didn't hand in the paperwork got to just make up the paperwork, and I got kicked out. I was like, wait a minute, I feel like you just don't like me. So
I feel like I remember hearing about this.
the
They
4
kicked you out?
people speaking during, or sorry, there were like, I think there were 6 people because we had Brody, who was valedictorian. I think we had Lila, who was salutatorian, and then Sam Gandy's president. We had Nate Cutting, Joe Nielsen, also class officers, all with golden sashes. Will Hessert, secretary of the class, no gold. And I'm like, I'm 25th in the class. What do you mean?
We have to battle this out.
I was like, I got.
We have to right this
most
wrong.
Of you, what's happening? Like, whatever. So I was a little butthurt about that. And like, I told my mom, she's like, I'm gonna come to school right now. Like, Mom, don't be that mom. Like, no, I'm literally like leaving to be an adult in like 3 months. Just chill out. But that shit was funny, man. Oh, well.
I swear, Will, your class was built different. Seriously.
Wait, we have 3 classes right now. We got 13, 14, 15, right?
16. He's 16.
Yeah, I thought you were older. You carry yourself well.
That would, but like I remember one of the craziest things was when we can't say last names here. Well, you can, but it's looked down upon except for teachers. But
I think I know the exact story you're gonna say. Does it have to
I already know what you're talking about too. Everyone in Norwalk knows this story.
So in Connecticut, I don't know if this is the case anymore, but the big high school standardized test was the CAP test.
Oh.
And this was when, who would have thought this was, if we saw how Twitter wound up being, this is an example of exactly what Twitter has evolved into. But long story short, standardized test, for some reason he was able, no doubt the teacher said, put your phone away. But yeah, he took his phone out. I'm going to show how important I am to go against society. He said something like, fuck this test, on like a short answer.
Picture of it, like he drew it on the test and like took a picture.
Yeah.
I think that's funny as hell, but the school really didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, and like, didn't you guys, weren't you forced to go back to, well, did you have to retake the test? I could be wrong in that, or that might have been a rumor that you had to retake the test.
I think.
I didn't retake it. I don't know. But honestly, like following that whole thing, because like they were like trying to get the police involved. They were, and I'm just sitting here thinking like, he's a good kid. He just did something dumb. Like anyone who's ever spoken to the kid in question, he's a great guy. He just did something stupid, which is also, to his credit, funny, which should earn him points, but that's just me. And then they're like, we need to get the police involved. Like sometimes I feel like administrators, their only role is to make a big deal out of things that aren't a big deal, because their jobs are so pointless that if we really analyze what they were doing, then they don't get fired. Like if you look at the reason why college has gone so expensive, it's typically you added a bunch of administrators, the quality of education hasn't improved. So what the fuck do all these people do all day? Norwalk High has plenty of administrators like that. We don't know what you do all day. So whenever some kid takes a picture on the CAP test, you're like, finally, I can pretend like my life has meaning. So they keep paying me $200,000 a year to jerk off in my office.
100%.
Which should bring us to a C, Mr.
Oh, man.
Because that's the best trend. All right.
I'll never forget.
Don't know out there. We had, when I think all of us were in school when that happened, a teacher who was having a sexual relationship with a student.
Oh, I'll never forget that day.
And so I was doing, I think this was like toward the end of the year, and I was getting ready to do.
I thought it was like Christmas time.
It
like
happened
around there.
Remember, it happened the week of Sandy Hook. I remember that.
Yeah, so Christmas time.
Yes, it must be junior year. So junior year, I'm getting ready to do the senior Project Explorer. Like I wanted to like write a symphony. I did. Don't do that. Terrible idea. A lot of work. But you had regular meetings throughout junior year to kind of figure out what your senior project is going to be. Mm-hmm. And one of the teachers on it, it was Mr. Carl, and it was Mr. Seaburn. And when people were saying, Mr. Surly, have seen pictures of this man, and I still don't know who that is. Like, I've never seen him before once. I went to the school for 4 years, never. I thought they were saying Mr. Seabird. So I'm walking down first floor B house,
You're like,
and I
"What the hell's
see him
wrong
in
with
the hall, and I'm like, do I fucking deck this guy? Like, fuck little girls, what are you doing here? They're like, you gotta get out of here, you weirdo pedophile. And really glad that I was very conflict avoidant at 16, because that would have been it would have made the whole senior project really awkward, spending a year working closely with a man I called a pedophile and punched in the face. So
Yeah, that's funny.
Boy, I mean, that story for me. So like, I was really involved with the paw print, and basically, I remember it was either journalism class, but I think it was journalism class. We went to Carl. He's like, folks, I believe you all know this story. Like, I remember this was starting to, when people would just say things in the hallways, those days were winding away, and it was just seeing what you're on Twitter. Like, people would tweet blatantly. And this was that era of that. They're just saying like, oh, well, this teacher did that. And like, oh my goodness. I remember like thinking at the time, man, our high school, we've seen a lot of things, but we've never seen the trend of, I don't know if we see this as much often, obviously not as many during COVID times, but because there's not many teachers and students seeing each other in class. But like, I was thinking, man, would it be something that we actually went through that? And we did. I remember my mom hit me up and she was like, don't you ever get involved with the teacher. Even though we all have had fantasies of teachers in our past.
Norwalk had a couple. I had the biggest crush on the substitute that came in for my AP English teacher senior year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and
was
it wasn't
blonde?
just like this. She's so hot. Like she was intelligent and funny. I'm like, this is my kind of girl. Just like probably 10 years too old for a 17-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Like 17. Probably not gonna happen.
After me and Will graduate, Brendan, that's funny, by the way. After me and Will graduated, Brendan, you've also had another situation like that your senior year, right? Teacher with a student, female teacher with a male student.
What? I never heard of this.
Yeah, I think you're getting stories mixed up.
What do you mean? Wasn't there also a teacher, a female student at the end of the year with the person? Or well, it never was. Let's just say the press didn't find out, and this teacher disappeared. And there were rumors.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do.
No, I really don't. Just say it.
I genuinely don't know the person's name. He went to our church, the kid.
Oh.
Yeah, see, I told you.
What is this?
My boy. Man, he's in the military right now. He's protecting us.
He's a hero for so many reasons, but what?
So many reasons.
What teacher was this? What happened?
Do we just name drop? Are we name
drop?
dropping?
Don't say
Only
the name drop.
Matt gets sued. Brendan, you and I are fine.
Yeah.
You can type it. There's a chat. There's a chat feature
right,
you could type. You could type the chat feature.
I think she came after you guys, so I don't think you know her. But basically, my boy, we'll call him Mr. We'll call him the savage
hero.
We'll call him the hero. Yeah, we'll call him the hero for many reasons. So he told me a story because I was cool with him. The story he told me was different from the story that everyone was saying. Basically, yeah, he got a little too friendly with it. Actually, he told me two different stories. The first story he told me was like, oh nah. But the second story after when we got out of high school, he's like, yeah, I was getting pictures from her. Just leave it at that.
Unbelievable.
Bro, there's so many people that you can get with that aren't your legal students.
Yeah, right? There's Tinder.
Literally, most people are above 18.
Right?
Literally most.
Yeah. That's just a world we'll never, I know we'll never understand, man. Even though, of course, you had fantasies at the time when you were a kid, but
yeah, but we were the kids.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In the kids, when you're that young age, Of course, who wouldn't? There's that hot for teacher, Van Halen video. If those certain teachers you had, but yeah, now as an adult, that's really gross and awful and
Yeah.
disturbing and actually.
You hear about that teacher at McMahon?
Yeah, there was that art teacher too. Man, we're really making the school
yeah.
systems look bad with this.
All
with
right,
these
now I just want to
teachers.
say that there are hundreds of people that are teachers in the Norwalk public school system, and we can name 3 that are
Exactly.
creepy. I mean, they're normal
Exactly.
and are creepy, but the percentage basis of people who sleep or are creepy to their students is very, very, very low. Just for the viewers, but in McMahon, for those who don't know the story, there's a guy who was taken. He would like be on his little office chair and roll around and take his phone and like kind of put it down here and like take a picture because it would go up girls' skirts. And this one student noticed it, so the teacher puts his phone down casually on his desk. The kid gets up, grabs the phone, books it to the office. Teacher running after him at full speed. He gives the phone to the admin, tells him everything. He denies everything. They look at the phone, they see everything gone.
Now that's an epic story.
That guy's. I don't know who that kid is. I want to know who that is though. Like
I didn't know. Yeah,
have
unbelievable.
a productive conversation. It's like, hey, what does it feel like to be a goddamn American hero?
Absolutely, man. Why don't we just avoid the we know that bad teacher aspect, but what were just some other great teachers you always had good times with?
Oh, Signora Todashini, awesome teacher. Chris Rivera taught me so much. I know, like some people are like, oh, that guy. I'm like, this is what he made you do push-ups. Like, shut up, you're fine. Like, grow up. I'm like going through. Miss Wax whipped me into shape by scaring the living shit out of me, but she held you to a standard, man, and you better hit it. Simonson is one of the greatest losses Norwalk I ever had. That class, I cried a lot in. That was deep.
I heard I had him for 2 different. I had him my English teacher, the psych and lit.
He loves you. He named you by name in
Really?
my class. How much he loved you? Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That made my day hear that. Yeah, he was the homie. He was like the perfect high school sitcom teacher.
Yes.
Perfect was that. He was Mr. Feeney. Oh
yeah,
man.
He was the GOAT. Because he just got really real with
Yeah.
you. Like he talked about a lot of real shit that applies to life. And that was when I was going through all the dark shit. So to mix those two things together, it was like, damn, this is real.
It is so true. You always remember the English teacher. That great English teacher. Well, I had one. Definitely my freshman year English teacher sucked, but and then my sophomore year sucked. I don't know. We had one I remember the whole 45 minute class. One 45-minute class was just talking about stereotypes. It was like a stand-up comedy lesson, and then Simon was my third grade, my junior year, and he was great. I took him a class that whole other year, and then I had Fuller
too. Mr. Moffat, he was
older Moff.
Oh, I only had young Moff. I've talked to old Moff though. He's also just that. I just see like you are literally just an older version of young Moff. I guess it's the other way around because one is the other one's dad. So credit to old Moff for making young Moff. But dude, young Moff was one of just the best math teachers. Like I was so prepared for that calculus test that so you got an hour of multiple choice and you got 2 hours of free response, right? So like every other AP test I took up like the whole time, right? This one, I finished the free response in 15 minutes because he literally gave us every AP test there has ever been. So I could answer all the questions. It was just the numbers changed out. I literally memorized how to do all these problems because he prepped it so well. And I was so bored that you couldn't leave because you could like text what the questions are to your friends on the West Coast. And they wouldn't let you leave until the end of the 2 hours. So you had to like justify your math answer like with a paragraph. So I started drawing speech bubbles, and I drew a dinosaurs in the margins, and I called them calcosaurs. And apparently you get the
Calculus.
test back. Well, I still got a 5. Like I crushed this test, but you get the test back when you're the teacher. And I had friends who were younger than me in the class who were like, "Hey, Will, remember that story you told us when you like made calcusaurs?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." So Moffat told us to not draw dinosaurs on the AP test.
But it's
So,
calcusaurs, not dinosaurs.
yeah, I was like, first off, name it what it is, Moffat. Like, I'm giving you credit here. I deserve my credit. But yeah, so that's my small claim to fame at Norwalk High School. Also, we need to give Dan Sullivan all the shout outs.
Oh, yes. The greatest guidance counselor of all time.
Yeah. I never had a Shaughnessy, but he's the freaking man. One of the coolest people I've talked to. Really good guy. And that was Sean's favorite teacher by a lot. Like, he would just go off about how good Shaughnessy is. O'Donnell. A lot of great people, man. Yeah. So to all the viewers, they don't all have sex with you. Some of them just really help you with your life.
Exactly. As in anything, just a few bad apples and they're gone for a reason. Also, really like Mr. Anastasia, is bro. And I understand this is a polarizing pick, but Mr. Carl,
That is polarizing. I like Carl though, so I'm
Carl, I think there's a reason why Carl was like 30 kids asked him to do his letter of rec. He was just like a great coach. He really prepared us for anyone who had him. And I loved working with him at the paw print. Anyone who really worked in the paw print with Carl loves him. Like if you do the paw print, and he was just such a great character. That's another dream guest I have. Like he was, I won't say like a father figure for the paw print staff, but he was like, I don't know. It was really different. He was like one of us. He really led us. He fought for us. You know, Reggie Roberts censored the paper. At the time we had this article where we were staging a drug deal, and all the picture was handing lunch to each other, saying that this is a drug deal, which obviously is not. But people got upset, and the rule is now you had to give Principal Roberts the paper before, which is bullshit and censorship. That's not how journalism works. But he really fought for us.
And for you too. What the hell is that?
Yeah, he fought for us. He went out there for us, and he got the opportunity where we literally pressed him as a press conference to talk like, why are you doing this? And he didn't have to do that. I think people should know that Carl really prepared us the most for college, and having discipline and just getting ready for the real world. And he was just speaking facts the whole time. I'm just bummed. I really wondered how he handled the Trump administration. In fact, I got to email him after this podcast. Just see if he'll respond. If he still is working, I don't know if he's still working in Archive, but he really was something else, man.
You guys ever have Miss Morris?
No, I've heard she was something. I don't know what was she like.
She teacher was tough as nails. One of the best people though. When I had a friend who was suicidal, like I took my friend to see Miss Morris.
Really?
Like, dude, one of the scariest freaking conversations. She's like, all right, so you want to kill yourself? And it's,
Cut away, just start.
Maybe. All right, so that's a yes. What's your plan? I was like, holy fuck, like, what's happened? But dude, her love of human beings and her love of her students, she is just, oh my God, one of the best people. Because who do you trust in that situation? Because you got like some admins who are gonna freaking censor like a school paper. What the hell are they gonna do with the suicidal kid? Like, oh, shut up about that. We don't have that here. You don't know what's gonna happen. And when someone's in like that dark of a mindset, you probably, if you have any shot of getting them to talk to someone, if that one time doesn't go well, you're screwed.
Yeah, it really is. I think that's what people have. The importance of listening is everything, especially people who are really down.
If she could listen, dude, you know what I need to do? Because she left me her email so I could stay in touch, and I lost it before I went to college. And I have not been able to contact this woman. Can't find her on any social media. Like every 6 months I look, I'm gonna just go to Norwalk High, be like, who has Martha's contact info? I need to call this lady because like I have a baby now. I can send baby pictures to Martha. Like this woman was amazing. One of the best people I have ever met in my whole life. Like God bless that woman. She's just hold me to that. By the time I'm back on the podcast, if I hadn't done that, disinvite me until I do that.
Oh, you're part of this brand now as a recurring guest, Will. So we'll make sure you have that, as well as you too, Brendan. But Brendan, what other teachers have made an impact with you from Norwalk High?
I had some good teachers. But yeah. Yeah, I had good teachers.
Anyone you want to say in particular? You don't have to,
Shout out to Grady, bro. But I got a question for Will though, because
Hit me.
don't want to make this too long. So Will, I really respect your story, and I want to hang out with you later on after this podcast and just kind of learn more about your story. You talked about how like you went through a tough time, and I went through a tough time. Matt probably has had his tough times, and we almost need to taste that dirt. We need to taste that dirt so we realize I don't want to be down here again, and I have to do everything in my power to keep myself up and not be down there again. And right now you're an entrepreneur. You're talking about doing $20,000 deals, and you said before at your time like you had a lot of self-doubt. You felt like you're the dumbest kid. In my time, when I took the leap of faith and bet on myself, everyone else was like, when I left school, they were like, Brendan, you're fucked. You're stupid. So I felt that too. And now, you landed and you're flourishing. So my question for you is, what should more people be aware of today?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think I'll give that some thought because that's a deep question.
Yeah, right. What should more more people, more 20-year-olds should be aware of, or even just doesn't have to be age specific?
That everyone is giving advice that makes sense for them, but not necessarily for you. Which, by the way, the advice not for you might be that you should drop out of school and start a business. Like that might be really bad advice for the person hearing it. But to go to school and be a doctor might be terrible advice for someone. So, because you're taught to have a given path, and it's important to understand people's incentives. Like a high school's incentive, if you guys remember during graduation, they have a list of all the colleges that people go to, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got people who I graduated with who went in the military and came out and got a construction job and making 150 grand a year, and they have no college degree. They never went to college. And you got people who went to great schools who are unemployed, trying to figure out like what it is that I'm supposed to do. So you really have to figure out what it is that you want. Define your purpose. Cool. I know what I want. And now who do I need to be to achieve that? And how do I become that person? And what are the next steps in that direction? And ideally, you can find people who are further along that specific path. Not like, because someone who's like crushing in the NBA, they have great principles they could teach you, but they're not going to show you how to be a great entrepreneur. A great entrepreneur is probably not going to help you become a great doctor. A great doctor isn't going to help you become a great father. You have to figure out who you want to be, reverse engineer from there, and find people who are further along in that thing. A lot of people getting advice on money from broke people, on fitness from unfit people. Just
love advice from single people.
Oh my gosh. Like, but like I always say the best advice for myself, like, do you, Julie? Do you? Or do you just suck with men? Like you could. You could. It's a possibility, and we need to address that. Yeah. So you need, once you have the confidence in what you are supposed to do and who you are supposed to become, it becomes easier to walk that path, but it will still be super hard.
Bars, man. That's deep. That's deep right there.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for
Lots of books and
sharing
lots
that.
of life. So
Amazing words from the amazing Will Hessert. So one last thing we have to do, gentlemen. So we end every podcast with a questionnaire. Every first-time guest gets the Proust questionnaire. I've been experimenting with what the next questionnaire for returning guests. So I think the one I did offer, I was explaining with the Eric Andre questionnaire. I just think we'll save that for another time and still trying to differentiate which questions can be asked. Because I tried it once and it was funny, but it's just strange. We all know why. But I love Eric Andre, so
it's Eric Andre,
exactly.
a legend.
And I realize when you ask certain questions, he says the questions he's asking certain guests out of context, it might be hard for the audience to just simply get it. Just you have to be in that type of environment for it to work. So I tried this new one now. It's called the Conversational World Questionnaire. Thanks to our friends at Conversational World. And we're going to do 5 each. We're going to go switch off. We're going to do switch ones. We'll go with, I'll start with Brendan, then Will, vice versa. So I'm just going to ask you guys just short but deep questions from a Conversational World questionnaire. So you ready for it?
Send it. Full send. Everything is a full send.
To the moon.
Full send
to
indeed.
The moon.
Moon.
When you get to the moon, Doge is there waiting.
Indeed. All right. So my first question, we'll start with Brendan on the Conversational World questionnaire. Brendan, what's the closest thing to real magic?
Love. Closest thing to real magic is love. When you love someone, I think scientists describe that the closest thing to being in love is being hypnotized, being drunk, because when you love someone, you're going to make all logic goes out the way and you're going pure on emotion.
We've seen where that's led people. It's definitely worth it when it does work out.
And in perspective of a 22-year-old right now, I say that not in a good way. Like, closest thing to magic is love. Love is going to leave you. I'm sure out of 100 bats, 99 people will strike out. One person will hit a home run with love.
Keep swinging.
Look at that.
But don't become a swinger.
What would you have to say, Will, is the closest thing to real magic?
Can't compete with that answer. I think that's nail on the head. And like I've experienced multiple kinds of love. It's like I have a daughter, and that's like, little baby girl puts her head on your shoulder. Like, because my life's pretty stressful. I'm not gonna lie. Like, just like things are on fire all the time. Sometimes I'm on freaking porn sites figuring out how do you get money.
Hello.
Yeah. So like it's a funny story now, but like when you're doing it, it's like what the hell's going on? But love is magic, man. It's magic.
Beautiful answer. Number 2, Brendan. What social stigma does society need to get over?
This absolutism. The world isn't so black or white.
All right. I could agree with that. I'm sure Will does too. What would you have to say, Will? What social stigma does society need to get over?
My first instinct was sex. We all chill. But my second instinct was...
There's a legit answer. Oh.
Yeah. My second instinct, which is probably deeper, was nuance. Because if you have a nuanced opinion, you are instantly labeled as an enemy of both the left and the right. I'm like, what? I didn't know I was both a white supremacist and you're not
surprise.
Hello.
Welcome to your first podcast.
This is Josephine.
Hi, Josephine.
Hello, Josephine.
Go that way. You can ask Brendan the next question. That's my answer.
See you later, Josephine. All right. So with that, Brendan.
Bad duty.
What?
Bad duties.
Of course. So, Brendan, I'll ask you this. What's the most ridiculous thing you ever bought?
spending too much money on food. It's just I know I'm spending too much money on food. It's one thing I just turn a blind eye to.
Fair enough, man. Oh, fair enough. Will, what would you say is the most ridiculous thing you ever bought?
Ooh, bought a lot of ridiculous stuff. I have a fully bulletproof vest back there.
Yeah.
I was seeing that the whole podcast where this
No,
was
that's
like,
legit-
what
that's
is that?
legit
Is that his
bulletproof.
superhero outfit?
Yeah, no, that's that. I mean, I don't have the gun with it because I know people are like, oh, it's too easy to get a gun. It's not true in Connecticut. I will have my gun May 28th. It's taken a year.
Wow.
The gun I bought is pretty ridiculous though. It's every legal loophole that you could possibly have. So,
Mhm.
but the more loopholes it went through, the more expensive it is. So I spent like $3,000 on a gun, and that was probably dumb. But it's really cool, in fairness.
Well, as long as it's really cool.
It's the only thing that matters. Not if it's good for self-defense, but does it look cool while you do it?
Yo, number 4, Brendan. I'm gonna ask you, Brendan, if you could switch places with any TV character for a whole week, who would it be? Or she, or they, or what animal?
I'll be Costa in Project X, the movie.
Costa. All right, well, I'll go with that. It's both. We'll go with both TV and movie characters. So that's the so.
Or not TV. I'd be Michael Scofield from Prison Break.
Why is that?
Because he's just like a step ahead of everyone else, and he just had this swag to him.
All right, cool.
Composure.
How'd you answer that, Will? What TV character, or I'll throw it out there for movie character, would you switch places with for a whole week?
Probably Iron Man, just for fantasy fulfillment. It's like, oh, I've already made the billions, and I'm saving the world. It's like Elon Musk with lasers. This is awesome.
That's what they say. They said Jon Favreau based off this version of Tony Stark on Elon Musk.
Probably more charming, but Robert Downey Jr. is just the embodiment of charm. So that's not a swipe at Elon. That's a compliment to Robert Downey Jr.
That the snap at Endgame is one of the most iconic moments of cinema history now. Like, it really is up there with, anything I have back there, especially any major movie scene, especially for the Toy Heads era, they're going to refer to that snap. So my final question for the both of you before we say goodbye. So we'll start with Brendan and then Will. Brendan, when was the last time you laughed really hard besides this podcast?
I don't want to put you on blast, Matt.
For what?
Last time I laughed really hard.
It was at you, Matt.
Probably.
Brotherly love.
You don't want to hear about the story today at dinner. Matt bringing potato chips to the bathroom.
I did not bring potato chips to the bathroom. I don't know where that rumor came from. I got framed.
I'll just leave it right there. My father found potato chips in the bathroom. And the thing is, they're Cape Cod potato chips. Matt went to the grocery store specifically just to buy these Cape Cod potato chips. He's the only one who has Cape Cod potato chips in the house.
In fairness, if you had to take a potato chip to the bathroom, I would take Cape Cod chips.
I got framed. I know for a fact that I've never eaten in the bathroom. What I think, looking back, I must have taken him inside while I was in the middle of doing something, and I must have let him there. I'm trying to think. I have no idea how this showed up. Oh, I know for a fact that I did not blatantly eat potato chips in the bathroom. Like, why? I have more self-respect for that. But I think I must have left them in the middle of running around doing a million things while I was trying to eat at the same time, because I've been doing that a lot lately, like editing shows while eating lunch and stuff like that. So it must have been that.
That's a great defense.
It's a true one too.
I totally believe you.
I appreciate it. But Will, I mean, that is really such a concept. Eating in the bathroom, unless you're hiding something. I don't have any food to hide. except the chips. But because if I leave them out, they're specifically for my lunch, and I like these low sodium, low salt chips with no sugar.
Amazing.
And if I leave them in the living room, then they're gone. So that's what happened. Anyways, Will, when was the last time you laughed really hard besides this podcast?
So, I'm a big comedy fan. My top 3, not in any order, Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, and Jimmy Carr. But I haven't heard as much of Jimmy Carr as I've heard of the other 2. And so I was listening to him. And so he's British and horribly offensive. And so he asked the crowd. I'm on the way back from Staples last night. I had to like print out stuff, and I don't have a printer. So I'll come back late last night, listening to Jimmy Carr, and he was just roasting everyone. I'm laughing hysterically, and he asked, "All right, who here have I not offended with my jokes?" And like a handful of people raised their hands. He points someone like, "You, what do you do?" Like, "I'm a college student." Like, "All right, I got a college student joke. Once I was in college, we caught my friend, jerking off in the shower." Like, ooh, yeah. It ruined the class trip to Auschwitz for everyone. I was like, what? And I'm laughing out of shock so hard that I had to pull over the car. And I'm like on this side street in Old Saybrook laughing. And then just thinking to myself, wow, I'm probably a terrible person for finding it that funny.
Oh my goodness.
And then people are laughing, and he's like, "You can't judge me. You just laughed at the most terrible thing that ever happened." If you have a really sick sense of humor, I recommend Jimmy Carr. If you have any level of sensitivity, do not listen to him. You will not like him. If you have any moral backbone, do not listen to Jimmy Carr. If you don't, like me, amazing. Give him a listen.
What an adventure there. And shouts to especially the Dave Chappelle and Bill Burr. Brendan, I know you like Bill Burr. He has a lot of your respect, right?
Yeah, I respect Bill Burr.
I think there's an epidemic of gold digging whores out there, and nobody will say anything. Like, bro, what? But he's so right.
Yeah, I think that's
weird, because you don't think he should be, because everything he's saying is awful, but he's not wrong.
Exactly.
One thing I like, it's funny, he says, but he goes like, "You guys want to talk about equality? In the Titanic, the women and the children went first. The guys had to stay on the boat and die."
Like, honey, why do I make 72 cents on a dollar? Because when someone breaks into our home, I'm the one who has to go downstairs and get fucking stabbed. Like,
yeah,
not wrong. I do those trips now.
Dude, Bill Burr, amazing podcaster as well. Just always, he's just authentic. You guys saw that? I mean, he's just his stand-up, all his specials are spot on. Like you said, he's right with everything he says. And then Dave Chappelle is the best at putting things in perspective while being a funny man.
Yeah.
Man, guys, epic, absolutely epic. We've been at it for over 2 hours. I think we can wrap it up. It was incredible. I really hope we continue to do this again, that you want to do this again. And man, I really appreciate the both of you. Thank you for this.
100%. Appreciate you, Matt.
Any final words from either of you?
Yeah, no, Will, definitely love to link up with you soon. Next time you're in Norwalk, man, I'll get your number. We can chop it up and, love to hear more about your story.
100%, man. Yeah, we should totally do coffee. I'm going to be in town pretty soon anyway. So, Matt, can you send me Brendan's number?
Yeah.
Boom. Look at this. We're making connections. This is how it's supposed to happen. Now I feel like I got to end on something like really profound. Don't jerk off in the shower.
Great advice from the great Will Hessert. Great vibes from the great Brendan Brown. Incredible appearance, guys. Thank you so much. We'll do this real again soon. God bless. Good luck. And I'll see you all really soon.
Godspeed.
All right, guys. See you.